एक बार मेरा कैमरा नहीं, कैमरा खोल देते हैं। क्यों देख रहे हो? कैमरा ऑफ करते हैं। भानु प्रताप ने भी शक्ल दिखा दी, मैंने भी दिखा दी। ओहो, भानु प्रताप जी ने भी शक्ल दिखा दी। क्या बोलती रहती हूँ, ये सारा देखना चाहिए। प्रताप ने Yes, Krishna Mitra, you have joined. क्या करें आप, वही सोच रही हूँ। God is great. भगवान का कोई मुकाबला। पहला बैकग्राउंड देना पड़ेगा ना, मैंने जो पढ़ाया कल।
स्पीड में थोड़ा सा पीपीटी रिव्यू कर देते हैं, है ना?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. Sometimes I'm losing the link and all, so my screen is getting dark. That's why I'm unable to speak.
Oh, that's nice. I thought even you are not here.
Ma'am, I am here, but I was searching for the screen. That means my screen is getting dark, and I am not unable to find. I am unable to tap the mic. That's why I can't speak.
Okay. There must be some issues with the screen. So, from where you are?
Ma'am, I'm from West Bengal.
Oh, that's good. So basically you were with me in MES 032?
Yeah, last year I was there.
You were there, na, last month?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Manik has also joined. Now, can we start our, should we start our class now?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay. So Manik, you are welcome. I don't know why you people are late. The lecture starts sharp at 5. So you should be there at 5.
Sorry for the delay, ma'am. Actually, just I have reached home from work.
Acha, you are from where?
I'm from Assam.
Okay,
Assam,
that's
not
good.
like
Thank
a
you.
small city.
So, okay. So should we now let us review first. I have finished the first unit and I started the second unit of block 1. No issue, Trisha, Mitra, it's fine. We all are welcome. So we have already started the basics of courseware design, that is under the block 1. This is the unit 2. If you remember, I have tried to tell you that the unit 1 has made you aware of the concept of instructional design. And now we have started thinking how to decide the goals, objectives, and now we have started with the courseware designing. In the course we are designing, we have the very first thing which we have to do was the need survey, which I discussed with you. I tried to explain you Dick and Carey model, that how the things were carried on, why the demographic profiles are required for the learner, how the data is collected, and what are the tools for the data collection. And then we have moved to the this how the courseware, how the instructional goals and objectives are being planned. Once we go for the need analysis, need survey, need assessment, then we have to go for the instructional goals and objectives, and how these instructional goals and objectives are useful to the teachers, how they are useful to the learners, and how they are used to help the manager. So these I have discussed yesterday till now in this. And now I have already also told you what is Abhay. It's very nice. You are welcome, Abhay Das. So how to state means when there's a difference between a goal and an objective. And I have tried to explain the goals are the larger scale, while objectives you have to take topic wise, theme wise, small under that section, which is not a large picture of that. So so I say that what we see in the set of objectives, what we see when we plan the objectives for any instructional designs or while compiling the courseware. So the first is that the attainment of which can be assessed. We have to see that the objectives, the attainment of which can be assessed, they are achievable. They are stated in a short and simple sentence so that the learner could understand them. He should or she should not confused. That there are few, not that we give a list of hundreds of objectives. We have to be very focused. We have to find out a few emphatic objectives should be there. They should begin with the action words. What means to indicate action, like how to describe, we should calculate, develop, build, and means uh, the learner can perform after the instructions are being given. So these are the small objectives, focus point of the objectives. How to decide the difficulty level of the content, because we are moving ahead the courseware development. We have seen that we have settled our goals and objectives. Now how to decide the level of content, because here we have to think that learning has three domains. We all know. One is cognitive, second is psychomotor, and third is affective. So each of these domains, they allows different level of learning, and all of them has one common thing, that they begin with the simple levels and they make us to move to the higher ones. So the first man, you must have heard his name, Benjamin Bloom. He was an educational psychologist. He proposed a taxonomy of learning for the cognitive domain. I have told you there are three domains of learning: cognitive, psychomotor, and affective. So the Bloom, he proposed a taxonomy for the cognitive domain, and then Anderson and Kurzweil revised their Bloom's taxonomy. And they also, so the first one, which I have written as an old version, and the second one is the Anderson Kurzweil, who revised the Bloom taxonomy. So let's see what the Bloom says. Bloom says that whenever you decide the content, The first, you should have the knowledge, then you have a comprehension, you will be able to apply, then to analyze, and then to synthesize your ideas, and then to evaluate. While Anderson, who revised the Bloom's taxonomy, they states the lowest level is not the knowledge, lowest level is the remembering. And instead of comprehension at the second level, and at the second last level synthesis, he changed to understanding and evaluation. Rest of the things are same, concepts are same. And then instead of evaluation, he said creating is placed at the highest level. After getting the things, you means, for example, the level beginning from the simple acts of cognition, like knowing, reaching to the level of evaluation, that means it is the complexity, or you can say from basic to the complex, this triangle with the broader base to the rectangle shape, it goes up. He tried to explain with an example. Suppose you know the month, right? And when the monsoon usually arrives in India. Okay, that is knowing. How do you understand the reason of timing? Why it comes at this time? It is hot, that's why. It is not a spring, it is basically, it is a rainy, it will bring rains. So you understand the reason for timing. Then when you understand the reason for timing, you apply your knowledge for understanding to explain the arrival of monsoon. Yes, at this time the monsoon will come in a particular part of the India. So then after that, you will analyze that what is the annual data for the rainfall of that area. That's why you all know Tirappunji. You people have an idea, you people come around from there. So here they could calculate there is the highest rainfall in there. So then after analyzing, you synthesize the findings of the different years. Like you have in 1 year, now this time when the floods are coming, you could make out that after so many years, 2004 or 2010, the floods are in the part of Haryana or in the part of Gujarat for how many years. So by collecting the data of every year, you try to synthesize the different findings of different years to journalize the rainfall pattern of that area. After that, you then result to the evaluate the suitability of a particular type of, you want to go for some architecture of the house, that if my area has lot of rainfall, what should be the architecture of my home. That is evaluation. After going through all, same, what sort of the crop I should sow during this season when the pattern of the rainfall is this. Just so we can understand to for the cognitive domain, right from the knowledge, he takes to you to the evaluation. So then we have a psychometric domain. For the psychometric domain is basically a skill based domain. And in this, for psychometer domain, we have 5 stages, or I can say the 5 levels. They are imitation. Like in imitation, it is same observing. Like psychometry is basically skill development. So whenever you go for any skill development, you look for the parameters that concerns that. So the very first parameter, that is imitation, that emphasizes observing the and patterning behavior after observing someone. Like suppose we take an example of a mechanic. The mechanic is changing the tire. So you learn from him. Okay, this is the way the car is being handled. This is the way the car tires are being changed. So then it becomes the manipulation. Manipulation means once you learn one action, you start thinking, if I have learned the tire, can I look forward for the brakes on my own? So that says that after learning one thing, by imitation, you can go for the manipulation. Then, after attaining exactness, you will like to go for a precision, right? You must have done some faults while manipulating. Now you learn how you can precisely do this. So, when complex, I sometimes the while doing all this, learning some skill, you are not able to understand the tool properly, even after imitating, manipulation, trial for the precision. Then you go for an articulation. So you just talk to the handle the tool as well as my instructor. With the help of both, you try to articulate the complex responses. And then he says about naturalization, that high level of performance that becomes natural. If some hurdle comes your way and you can repair the whole car or the whole machine yourself, then it is called naturalization. So this is how the psychometric domain, the level of difficulty is being described in the contents of cognitive and psychometry. The third domain was affective domain. There are again 5 major categories of behavior within the affective domain as follows. Receiving the phenomena means awareness or willingness to hear, or somebody is talking to you, that see you give up the addiction to gaming. You all know now there are mobile games. The people are trapped in different sort of affairs or in different sort of difficulties in the gaming. So a lecturer comes and he says, see, you should give up the addiction to gaming. This is an example. So the responding to the phenomena, that active participation by the learner. During the discussion on the consequences, we just tell and the learner also participate that what will be the consequences of this excessive gaming. After understanding the whole process, then there comes a valuing, that is some internalization of the values. And if I am saying this is the wrong thing, this happens with the game, this happens with the game, you try to internalize what that teacher wants to say you. And you will learn not to indulge in the gaming, which the example which we are taking. Organization, then organization means it organizes your values in priority by comparing and contrasting the values and creating your own value system. Value playing, for example, if I take the example of the games which you play online or on your mobiles or on your TV with the portable sets, what you will think that the sports I play outdoor is better than the sports which I play online. So in this way, you internalize your value. You organize yourself that I should play outdoors rather than gaming on the online gaming. Then in last we understand, we internalize the values means the learner develop a value system that controls his or her behavior, such behavior which he will never forget. And he will always, whenever even somebody may ask him to indulge in gaming, he will try not to indulge in that gaming, because he has internalized the values that playing outside is better even than the mobile gaming. So this is the way effective domain we can discuss about. Now we are planning for the courseware. We should think why we have started in this unit developing. We have started this unit with the title Basics of Courseware Designing. So whenever you design a courseware, It means you have to select some media of transmission, which media you will be using. So media for delivering instruction is to be selected judicially. Judicial section, we have to take care. What is the most susceptible people? The most susceptible people are the target group, that which they can, to which the what type of technology they can access to, and can it will be operable there. Is the medium is suitable for the content to be taught? So the gang cited that instructional material are the physical means. You have instructional media are the physical means by which the instructional messages is communicated, and hence the media can be a print, audio, television, along with many other physical medias. Web wide, www, world wide web, is also a media. But media and however, the media and technology are not the same. And along with the selection of media, technology selection is important. For example, you are choosing a radio and an audio CD. They are technologies. But here the media is audio. So the learner who have an access to radio but may not have access to the CD player. So similarly, a television program and a DVD are different technologies presented through the video media. So you can understand what is the technology and what is the media. So text is the print media, as well as the web media, but not all learners can use the web media or the web content, because you need an equipment to access the web. So the Bates listed factors that guides the selection of the media, and he put the words actions. It is an acronym, and for representing the model of technology to be used, action, here the first A stands for the assess. The targeted group which could assess to the media technology that is selected and deployed. First of all, we should know which is our target group, whether they can assess or not. So access to technology is basically determined by number of factors. One is your geography, then your gender, socioeconomic status, and many other factors which determine, and sometimes it is very complex. For example, men from the socio-economic weaker section have more access to the advanced technology than the women learners of the same families. And hence, the computers and advanced phones, they could not access them. So, what I should say, the study centers of IGNOU also provides to the IGNOU's audio and video programs, and also teleconferencing sessions. So how the learners access to the technology is very important. Uh, Basically, if I take the print media I have just discussed, it has some limitations, that it does not allow the interaction between the learner and the instruction. Although the main instructional media of many, almost all distance education institutions of India is a print media. So you can understand accessibility of your information is very important to the target group. So while selecting the media, we have to see whether the learners have an access to it or not. In actions, the second word, the second alphabet is C. So let us see what the C means. When we are discussing selection of media. So the C stands for the cost involved, because you can understand any broadcast uh, uh, through radio or television is cheaper. and is affordable by any institution. So the government, schools, colleges, the fees they collect or the grants they give, they can manage few media easily, like you can say audio and video. So the cost involved in selection of media is very, very crucial. In the action, the third alphabet is T. T stands for the teaching a learner should be supported by the media selected. Means if you use some of your devices while teaching anything, it becomes more useful because you involve a number of sense organs while imparting the education. Action in it should involve the degree of, what is the degree of interactivity. Some of our, if you simply listen our radio and television programs, they it is a one way, but now the programs of the radio and televisions are made interactive, so they can the teacher and the learner can interact each other. So whenever there is interaction, you can solve your issues, you can understand well, so you can, interactivity enhances the learning. O stands for the organization. And organizations, human, technological, financial resources, as well as the willingness and ability to use technology are the important factors. While an organization having studio, for example, skilled people who can operate the technologies, and the college or the institution has the financial means and it is in a better position, they go for the audio interactive and the video interactive media. So it means the resources available in the organization helps to select the technology for imparting the learner, imparting the knowledge to the learner. So N action, N stands for the novelty factor. There you all know novelty factor in technology. It is, we can see that new versions of phones, tablets, interactive media, even new versions, new configurations of computers are coming. So use of this technology will help the selection of the media. They can change, they can update themselves for the use. Now the alphabet S, because the word is actions. S stands for the speed, how quickly the courses can be mounted and changed. This is how easily you can display them, how you can upload them. So easy, the more easy it is, the better it is. The second acronym which is used for the selection of the media is the sections. It is given by the Bates. Here the S stands for the students, right? So students, and the appropriateness of the technology is judged on the target group's age, assess ability to use, and so on. And the E stands for the use and reliability. How easy it is for both teacher and the learner to use the technology, and how reliable and well tested the technology is. This S and E are different. The rest of the alphabets, C, T, I, O, and S, are the same as described in actions. So I hope this is, we have now covered that how much, what media should be selected, what instructional goals and objectives have been set up. Now everything, instructional goals and objectives are set up, media is chosen. Now the word comes sequencing of the contents, or the contents how they are to be sequenced, because to select content for enabling learners to perform the task is which they are expected to carry out is just will be done properly if there is a proper sequencing. So the content selected has to be organized. Organization of the content is decided what to teach first, what should be your end of the lesson, what should be there in between. So the content needs to be sequenced. Sequencing means basically placing in a certain order and deciding, which I have just tell you, what is first, what is middle, what is last. Ordering of, or I should say the sequences, is planned in a view what could be learned first, so that the sequent learning is easy. Actually, the sequencing is visualized at the very first stage of setting the instructional or institutional goals, instructional goals. Instructional goals therefore reflect the sequencing of the content. And the simple principle, we all know whenever we talk of learning, that simple and basic things are taught first, and and then their specificities. For example, if I am in a botany class, I am teaching about a plant. So what should be I will teach first? And I have to teach its parts. I have to teach what is its structure, what are the functions. So I have to teach the cellular levels. So what I will do, first I will talk about the plant, because they know the plant. All of them, they have seen the plant. Jugal Gandhi has left the student. So they have seen the plant. So we can easily tell them this is a plant. Then we'll try to tell them what are the different parts of the plant, because the children, they know, the learner, they know what are the parts, which is very common. They have learnt it very well. And then we will think that what are the structure of different parts and what are their cellular levels. That means from very basic to the complexity of any topic. Anjali. So there are techniques like content analysis and task analysis, which are the two techniques used in the sequencing or organizing the content selected. Let's see what is the content analysis. You read in unit 1, this is not right. New learning, I have used the word schema earlier. That new schema is the whenever we talk of the cognitive structures, we feel that we know something at previously we know it, and this knowledge which we have previous, we called it as a schema. So the content to be taught also has a structure of its own. We need to visualize is, for instance, in white, suppose again we take an example of an earth. The earth has a crust, then they have a mantle, and then they have a core. We all know, we are looking at the top soil. We are always learning about the droughts. We are learning about the floods. All of us are reading from the last so many classes. So if we know what is the earth means, we know the crust. So we will first teach them about the crust. Learners about the crust will make aware of them, as they know, they see it every day. Then we'll teach about the earth. We first will see that earth is a planet. It's a part of the solar system. Then its crust. And then we will teach the inner layers of the earth. So the content analysis thus places the journal ideas first and specific things later on. So this is the content analysis of the content, and then we put it up. So in content analysis, the concept of the concept map comes. They lead to the concept map of the content to be taught. Basically, a content map structures not only the content but also presents the structural linkages between the different constituent parts, thus to helps to organize and sequence the content. As I show you in the diagram, so first of all, we just see what are the instructions, then what are the learning approaches which are following, what models we are thinking about. We design our instruction. While instructions are being designed, we can look upon the genesis of how these instructions are being designed. And learning approaches also have their genesis, they are linked with it. So in this way, if I give an example of a concept map of a different sort of animals and the living beings, you can see the animals can be herbi, carvi and omnivores. You all know it depends on the grass, it depends on the another creature. Omnivores, they can have they are dependent on the plants as well as on the different other animals. So these animals are no doubt divided into three parts, but does not mean the carnivores are still dependent on herbivores. They are omnivores are also dependent on herbivores. Omnivores are also dependent on the living things. So all these things are connected to each other. So these sort of a concept comes under the content analysis, and we call them as a concept maps. You learn and then you do. So the basics are done, basics are learned first and then the advanced. The second technique is the task analysis. What is the task analysis? This is also for sequencing of the learning. So in this, the learning is manifested in the as task. Task analysis helps to plan what learners should do first and what they should do subsequently. Hence, complex activities can be visualized as a chain of the tasks. Like first, there is a writing of a script, preparing a story, then recording a video program, evaluating it, and so on. So they do sequence in the same manner, but basically they try to take everything as a task and understand how the content is organized in the terms of task by the learners too. This technique is used to while teaching skills. Learners, they learn stepwise, the first step, second step, third step, and so on, till they are capable to attain or to learn the complex activities required for multiple skills. So these are the two techniques for sequencing. Then there comes, you have instructional goals, you have need surveys, you have instructional goals and objectives, then you have your sequencing. Now you will go for the content development. So you have already gone for the instructional goal sequencing. Now we have to present learning experience in a way that it facilitates the learning. So it has to be authentic. It should have some pedagogic elements, and we should be able to teach them. They should, and so the content which is developed, it should use open and free resources and is made available using multimedias, and it is being developed. Once you develop the content, you have to go for the evaluations, because while developing coursewares, we need to assess whether the courseware will lead to the attainment of the objective. And after the delivery of courseware, we need to evaluate whether the learners can carry out the task as we have thought about, as we have envisaged, as we have envisioned by the objectives. So instructional goals are attained when learners are capable of performing the learning task. So if there is any mismatch between the learner's performance and instructional goals, we have to examine, and this comes by evaluation and this thing. The stages which are being carried out. So you can see in the diagram that objectives are settled. After the objectives, we have the content, and after the content, we design the courseware. Then it is being having all. While content is being designed, we add the media and other resources, instructional strategies, and when the courseware is developed, we have a final draft. But before then, it is dissemination of the course. But after dissemination and even during the instructional strategies, courseware is being developed, evaluation process is being done. Evaluation is through the feedback. If your feedback does not match the objectives, or it does not match the media services or the strategies we used, this feedback is again we give back to the feedback is being transmitted to check whether it is aligned with the objectives or not, it is aligned with the content or not, whether it is in line with the instruction or not. So these are the ways of evolution strategies. So stages of the evolution, I should say uh, this course where we have developed, and this evaluation is carried into two ways. It is carried at the formation stage. We call this as a formative evaluation. And if it occurs after the delivery of the courseware, we call this as summative evaluation. So some of the reasons we required for the why we go for the formative evaluation. Because point one, we identify the problems in the early stage. We identify the problems in the early stage of courseware development. We improve the planning and management and implementation of the courseware. For the fine tuning of for the implementation of the course, because I again repeat, formative evaluation is carried out at the formation stage. So why it is important? These are the factors which I'm discussing. Improving the impact or effect of the courseware, because whatever we have thought about, is it achievable or not? And once we have thought about and we have aligned with our goals, so evaluation will be meaningful when we will go for the summative evaluation, that is after total delivery of the courseware. So these are the reasons why we go for a formative evaluation. How to carry the formative evaluation? The next question is that, of course, at the very beginning, you can go for this by data collection or some feedback which from the persons from few target groups. By this formative evaluation, what will happen? It will be subject matter. The experts and the teacher can assess its authenticity and its suitability for the target group. Hello? Hello? We have designed some pedagogy for the effective delivery of the courseware. So this formative evaluation will help us what is the performance during them. Other attributes to the courseware means there are many other things other than the subject matter and the pedagogy. It like visual treatment, aesthetics, appropriateness of the format, the video or the web-based visual content. Suppose and what we can say, whether the explanation of the experiments is there, whether they are appropriate, whether the boxes used are nice, the reaction, is there any screen designs are placed, placement of function buttons are at the correct place. So in addition to the subject and pedagogy, for the overall development of the courseware, we, before launching, we go for a formative evaluation. Are you able to see the screen? So you, Manik Dhar. So I hope you all are able to see the screen. The very first is, while is the difficulty level of the courseware is in the level of the readiness of the learner? Because is the content load appropriate? Is the language suitable for the target group? Is the language, Manik Dhar has left the meeting. Chalo. Is the language suitable for the target group? Is the content appropriate? Is the content factually correct and updated? Is the content logically structured? So these are the questions which are related to the content. Similarly, we should have to look, when we are framing this courseware, the questions related to the teaching effectiveness of the courseware. Means there are different parameters while we are launching the courseware. So the another is a teaching effectiveness. Is the courseware suitable for self-learning? Is the sequencing of the content is pedagogically appropriate? Does the courseware meet the goals and objectives? Are the objectives of the course relevant to the need? Are the aims and objectives relevant to the need of the target population? Are the aims objectives stated explicitly? Are the objectives supporting the goals? Are there objectives which have not been included but should be included? Is the courseware interesting to the learners? Because your first point is gain the attention of the learner. Are the concepts explained adequately? So these are the questions. They are being taken care, should be taken care for the teaching effectiveness. Similarly, there are certain questions pertaining to media. Do the media present the content appropriately? What we have put it into the printed form, or the media whichever we are using, do they have the appropriately? Do the learners have access to technology? Can learner assess the courseware through the devices? Is it possible they can use their tablets, phones, and they can go through it? And the feedback obtained can be organized under the. So these are the basically the questions which are basically should be taken care when we are going for the formative evaluation. Now let's come to the summative evaluation. I've already told you, summative evaluation takes into the account learner's achievement. It is being taken when the whole courseware is being taught, whole delivery has been done, then evaluation is being taken. So at that time, this is called summative evaluation. So how you can see this, what are the ways we can see about it? We can see by their scores, grades, percentage of those completing the course, percentage of dropouts, and other such information to judge the effectiveness of the courseware. It is carried out after the instructions have been delivered, as I told. So it can be in the form of achievement tests used for they can be for the grading and certification. Of course, the summative evaluation, it provides the evidence whether the learners are capable of performing the learning task which we have thought, which we have for accomplishing the objectives of the courseware. By these are the ways we can evaluate after the course is being delivered. So higher, what we can say, higher the pass percentage, it means it indicates effectiveness of the course delivery, course contents. And if it is a low pass out rates as well as high dropout rates, then the question, the effectiveness of course, this type of evaluation, however, consider not only the learner's performance, but this summative evaluation uh, uh, will also consider that the learner after learning, are they employable, do they are capable, or they are being admitted to the advanced courses, so whether they meet the market goals. So but if they fail to get employment, then reassessment of the instructional inputs is required. So if the dropout rate is high, the program could be placing demands that the learners are unable to fulfill. So summative evaluation then sums up the impact and educational effectiveness of the courseware and gives impacts inputs which can be utilized not only for improving the particular courseware but also for guiding the development of similar such courseware. By this, we finishes up the unit 2. Now, let me take you to the block 2. पहला पेज देख. First. First. ID पहले. ये है फर्स्ट लाइन. नॉट सिंपल. एक और था ना ओपनिंग का हमने दिया था, कोर्स का था जब. I'm taking you to my first slide so that you can again understand, you can think how we are navigating in this lectures. Our first, we have 3 blocks, and in each block, yes, you can see we have started a MES 134. The purpose is how to develop, how to design, how to develop, and how to deliver. So we have taken up our first block is over, in which we have learned instructional designs and the basics of courseware design, in which we have learned different goals. Now we start up with the second block, that is the development of the courseware. Let's first go to the unit 3, that is development of courseware for print media. So take you to the unit 3. Because you all know your postgraduate diploma in educational technology, the MES 134 is basically to design, develop and delivery of courseware. So we have finished with the design. We are thinking how to develop. Now we have come to the second stage, development of courseware for the print media. Print media remains essential for imparting the text-based instruction, although the web pages, the websites, the WWF technology is coming up. But even then, so even for their print, we use the print media. So yes, let's now take up, let me explain you. The very first important thing is in unit we start is with writing style for print media. What are the styles for writing the style for print media? Whatever we are learning, what we have read earlier in block 1, as you know, if we have to learn anything, if I take you to some computer center, or I should say to the Reliance, you have purchased something, anything, television, computer, any technical device, you get a printout, you get material in which you will see how to take out the plugs, how to plug the things, how to use step 1, then how to first to install, and then what is the first step to use it, and that is right. So there are number of steps is being written in any manual. Same is, and this basically these instructions are being given, and for you in IGNOU, what is being written, this is a self-learning material, and self-learning material is called SLM. All of you have got your lessons or your learning material at your homes, or you may be collected from your study centers, and this is a thing that you will take these courses to your under your course, this various, what is this basically, MES,
हाँ जी
PGDET,
PGDET
और MES MES as I was just telling you that ना बेटी है क्या? अच्छा पेपर
ये मैम
नहीं
डेवलपमेंट
है पेपर है
हिस्ट्री इन एजुकेशन ऐसे ही
क्या
पूरी फुल फॉर्म
डिग्री तो PGDET है,
पीजी डिप्लोमा मैम ये
जो भी है ना वो MES मतलब क्या है, पेपर है,
हाँ उसका सब्जेक्ट है
एक
कोर्स
सब्जेक्ट,
हाँ जी
कोर्स है.
हाँ जी कोर्स है
So I was just telling you, you are reading the different courses under your this PG diploma, but these courses are being delivered as a study material. What is this? This is SLM. SLM is meant for helping the learners, but it is based on a programmed instructions. Development is guided primarily by behaviorism, and its pedagogy leads to the individualized learning, and it is a teacher dominating. So SLM is basically, as I am telling you, is a teacher centered, and make it learner centered elements, try to interact with the learners and through the various modes, like various activities, various questions, and various thought-provoking thinkings, they can ask you and try to interact with you. So you have so this is called SLM. And SLM, you all have your study material, you will be reading and going through it. You will find this is what is this. SLM is meant for a supporting learning, and especially the 9, it is based on the 9 instructional events mentioned by the GATE. This embeds in it a teacher that draws attention of the learners. Questions are there, creates the interest and sustain interest, support the assesses learning, and this writing style is adopted for which it needs, we have to learn few factors while writing an SLM, which is a it is print media which reaches you. We have to think about the structure. What are the important things while writing this? First is the structure of the content. As I just told you, self-learning material, that is SLM, is based on the concept of programmed instruction. So you need to organize the instruction in a stepwise manner, as logically we have to frame them, and so that in different logically the information has to put into different frames, and then they have to be sequenced, and the frame should need the contents which are in the forms of the themes and sub-themes emerging from the content analysis. So from, as I already told you, the familiar content are taken first, and then the unfamiliar concepts. So first of all, while during the structure of the content, we develop the frames, different frames of themes and sub-themes. So for each content. So logically sequenced frames are have linkages, but you can see we try to link these frames to the previous knowledge. And we we are seeing that there should be a very proper, appropriate heading of the frame, which that communicates and it helps in the teaching. So while writing an SLM, we have to develop this frame. We should maintain the learner based approach. So SLM is prepared for learners, hence there is a requirement, there is a need to keep the learner active during the learning process. So how they will do it? Through the questions, through the activities are the means, because while going through the SLM, the teacher and the learner are away. They are not close to each other. But we have to make it realize that they both are here, and the teacher will try to place the material in such a way that the learner, it should be a learner approach. So it is, they will put some questionnaire and activities are means to keep the learner active. While we should see there are different age groups, different interests, and different concerns. So when you are developing a courseware for developing communications for any for a junior or a senior, or for a junior employee or a senior employee, so the organization will include those activities or more activities that are different for both the levels. So hence, while writing any SLM, or we have to maintain a learner based approach. We have to learn linkage, we have to develop a linkage between the new and earlier learning experiences. So you all know that if you have, if you able to link the new with the old, you will be able, your learning will be facilitated. Then while writing SLM, structuring it, make the content self-explaining as self-contained. Learning material that do not explain concept fully, they require the learners to look for the sources of information. And you can understand all the learners, they cannot. So need to make the content self-explanatory so that the learner does not depend upon the other sources of information. And very important is that explanations are to be easy to understand when these include, and then when these are, what are the ways by making the instruction easy is by giving examples. And it is a concretize. This is because example, they really help you to understand, to concretize your abstraction or your abstractive knowledge. You can easily absorb them. Thus the content which we are making should be self-directing and self-motivating. So I hope you will learn, you will understand that SLM should provide necessary instruction and guidance in the form of directions, suggestions, hints, clues, so that the learner can read. They can ask your learners, you can ask them to have the special knowledges in the special units. They should reflect on the issues, carry out the activities, carry out answer and questions. So that will motivate the learner. Learner will have, once they will feel confident as they know they have a previous knowledge of it, they can understand well. So by knowing all this, the learner becomes confident. Providing feedback, feed, this feedback will be basically used for your self-assessment of learning, or it will help you to reinforce the learning. It will surely help the teacher also to understand the things are being, means that helps the, in addition to motivation or the confidence, and that will help the teacher to pass the knowledge in a very facilitated way. You should violate, we should take care of the size. You all understand, you are all studying the study material. You must be seeing the material every unit wise is neither too long nor it is moderate in size. So therefore the amount of content required for adequately explaining the concept is the right amount. So it is very important that you should not end up into 5 minutes, but you should not end up into hours. So the size of the content has to be taken care of. It should be moderate. Make the content interesting. We need to know, to arouse or to sustain the learner's interest, we have to make them learn. So very important is to attain the attention of the learners. So SLM needs an interesting introductory message that draws his attention. It should, uh, drawing learners' attention is basically not easy. After drawing, then sustaining the interest is even more challenging. Therefore, just to avoid the monotony, that we should use the techniques like interspersing the text with the supplementary information. We can use the boxes with supplementary knowledge, information, italics. So these will surely help. So this is very important to make the content interesting. So generate the scope of interaction. When you are framing this in SLM, must be see that the learners are not able to talk to their peers. So what we can do? We should make them just to realize or just to feel they are just sitting in a class and they are interacting with the teachers. So what we usually do is we use certain dialogues like you have already read, you know it. So even sometimes we ask what is your opinion, so that make them active and they feel that some interaction is going on even though they are not with their peers. Make the content suitable for the adult learning. You all know the teaching of adults is andragogy, and the adults and the children are at different platforms. So if you are framing the contents for the adults, it is challenging because it has to be more problem based, need based. Those learners are bit mature, they can link up with the past, and hence while framing this for the adults, we should see how we can frame well. So create scope for the practice, because SLM, as I was discussing with you, SLM has to is built with the activity deep learning, critical thinking, and activity based, so that they can put the learner to the practice in addition to the theoretical knowledge, because otherwise it will remain a rote learning. There should be a great scope of reflection. Reflection involves critical examination, hence means whatever we have taught, whether they have learned it or they have not. So that certain questions, they encourage thinking. As I was already telling you, question is think of something, or you can put the question, how can media play an role in eliminating your, suppose you are taking a class of gender bias, so how it can help in eliminating the gender bias in your opinions? Do we are looking the films every day? Film makes aware about the social concerns. Hello. So I'm sorry, I had some call. So do the so I hope creative scope of reflection means it should be some problem solving question should be there. So activities will surely help you for thought thinking, and it will be related to reflection. It should create self assessment, because it is not always that somebody is there to check you. While there should be certain assignments or assessments of learning, or certain exercises that gives you a feedback that you whatever I have learned, whether I have absorbed it, or I have really learned it, or I need again, or I can consolidate my learning, otherwise I need back and come back. So it should be, whenever we are talking to each other, even if I am talking, I am delivering a lecture, I should realize that I should use some personal touch. Like I can ask you your by your name, or I can take you along with me, that we all think like that. We should use certain first or second person in our lectures or in our SLM, and so that it can provide that as if I am with you and you and I am on the same level or the same ground. So define the objective. SLM needs objectives. So you have to be very much, you all have seen that the chapter starts with the instructional objectives. And why should we state, we should always define the objectives, that why we have thought of it, what are the main goals behind these objectives, whether how we will go about in our process of delivery. So these are the bit defining the answer. You should inquire, we should ensure the quality of content. The content you include in the SLM has to be very authentic, and it should be updated. And this could only be done if you go for extensive research and intensive reading. So these are very important for the learner. They trust you. So it may not happen that you are not well versed with the new updates in that field. You should be able to communicate effectively. This is, communicate effectively means what? My dear learners, if you have attended my class in MES 032, there is a Shannon and Weaven model where we have said the elements of communication. In the elements of communication, we have discussed about the noise. So what is the noise? That is a barrier in communication. So if you are choosing some technology while transmitting, so the message which is transmitted from the source to the recipient, there should not be noise, or the barriers in the communication should be minimal. For enhancing the clarity, we use what we can, how we can, transitional words and phrases that help us to move from one idea to the other idea. You know, the transitional phrases are however, moreover, further, like this. Examples are useful for clarifying the concepts, ideas, and principles. Use of appropriate illustrations like our flow chart, diagrams, graphs, maps, tables, they helps to enhance the clarity of the SLM to the learner. The message that SLM communicates should be complete, and we should not assume that the rest of the thing the learner will complete and we leave unfinished. So this vagueness is to be avoided. Clarity depends upon the consistency. This means giving the same message, because suppose we say in one of our lesson, hard work is the key to success, while in another unit we say being smart is more important for the success. That leads to confusion to the learner. So it's very important we should be consistent with our thoughts and with our communication. Statements should, the messages that make message very concrete should add to the clarity. For example, I take an example for this. If I say your answer should be very short, you have to write a very short note. I hope it is not clear and explicit. But if I say, please write your answers in 150 words, that makes a learner understand better. So these are the ways the messages has to be concrete. We need to concise and precise while writing SLM. Concise means we should not use superfluous words or phrases or sentences. We should use simply, sometimes we elaborate the things like this. If I have to, we can simply say neighbor. But instead of saying neighbor, we will say someone living in the house close to my house. It's not explicit. Moreover, it is not concise. Moreover, it is not precise. So why not to use? I give you another example. White someone living, I say white instead of the color which is white, means the preciseness should be there in the point. We should simply say it's white rather than putting into a long words. Writing style should be very positive for enhancing the clarity. Learner will fail if they do not study regularly. To complete the course, learners need to study regularly. We usually these are the two ways to explain the anything. What I said, learners will fail if they do not study regularly. It's an active approach. We may say, to complete the course, learners need to be regularly. So this is the positive way to talk about. Again, for the clarity, we should use the grammar correctly. We should use active voice. No doubt, many places we can use the passive voice also. Thus, we need to develop content which the learner can understand. Readability of SLMM is more when learner understand what they read. They require reading and therefore, while framing the SLM, we require reading and refining of it many times. Hence, this is the way. So the another things which we should take care by framing the SLM is we should be careful about the copyright. We should be careful that SLM should not violate the copyright, the rules of intellectual property rights in which the copyright comes into. So we have to be very careful because we are taking the material, we are taking illustrations, we are taking the various sources. So open educational sources, some text citations. We have to be very careful. We should carry out our formative evaluation. Formative evaluation before writing, before launching SLM, or before putting among the learners. It's very important. That can involve the experts, the learners, so that they can edit it well in time. So my dear students, this is about the learners. It is about the SLM writing, which I have discussed with so many number of points, that what should be the writing style in the print media of the SLM, and how the structure and the content should reflect, and what we should take care of. Now let us understand, let's think what are the different parts of the SLM unit. You all see there are the three parts of SLM. First of all, you must be looking. We have the three parts: first part, middle part, and end part. So let's see what is the first part. You all know, if you have some your study material with you, if you open this unit, you will see the first part. What is the first part? Every unit of course, if you see, like I am taking unit 3. So every unit of a course has a unique serial number, and it is written before after that development of courseware for the print media. Means every unit of course have a unique serial number and a title. These aspects help to identify the unit, and the title tells the learner what the unit is about. Title, after the title, if you see your own learning material, after the unit, its title, there is a structure. The word structure of the unit. It gives you the outline of the concepts included, their organization, relation, as well as their place in the unit. So even sections and subsections, if you see 3.1, 3.2, 3.33, Even if you see under the structure, you will see the subsections are also numbered. It helps to navigate across the unit and indicates the organization of subsections and sections of a unit. So this is the way the first part is. If you see your learning material, first after that, after the structure, you will see the introduction. So the structure is followed by introduction to the unit. So the introduction performs several functions. It links new learning to the past learning. It makes the learner feel confident and motivated. It provides the thematic overview of the content will be covered in the unit. It will include elements that motivate, arouse curiosity, declare what we are going to teach in the unit, and which is linked to the earlier units. After the introduction, if you see your study material, we write objectives. Objectives are the short-term goals, intent or aim of teaching. So these that objectives spell out that what we are intending to teach you, what are the learning outcomes which in your behavioral changes which we are expecting from the learner after going through this chapter of going through this unit. So then comes the middle part of the SLM. What is the middle part? The middle part includes logically sequenced sections and subsections of text for teaching the content. The content includes what? The pedagogic elements. Here we have some questions, we have some dialogues, we have with the learner, there are exercises for checking their progress. We try to explain our content through illustrations, by the boxes, by the cartoons, by the supplementary information, and try to clarify the explanation which we want to impart you, or try to explain you the content in this concept in this middle part. Then comes the end part of the SLM. You can see your study material of any part. This part usually includes what? This is a summation part. It includes the summary of the content taught. It highlights the key learning points and it helps the learner to recapitulate the content they have learned. So, and after learning, after reading, after reading the learner, after reading the summary, if he feels, oh, I have not gone through it, the summary, with the help of this, it will trigger the revision for the learner. Unit and exercises, of course, it includes the questions, activities that required application of learning. Hints and clues are being given at the end to check your progress, and the model question answers again are being asked, the possible questions which can give you the feedback for your self-evaluation. Glossary is there just to explain the words. Reference and the list of suggestive readings is there. If you want to read anything more what have been taught by which has been given in SLM, you can go back, you can consult those literatures and can, because citing any source, we usually follow an internationally accepted styles like APA, MLA, Harvard, Chicago manuals, etc. And this we are using APA, a commonly used style for understanding it. You may read the content available at the different sites which are being discussed here. So this is the way the SLM is framed, and these are the parts of the SLM. But SLM, you see, the web can also be used for as a self learning material. So institution may provide you the websites for providing access to the soft copy of self learning material and even scanned copies of printing content. text-based instruction in such cases are developed for delivery through the print media only, but they are placed on the web. So Commonwealth Learning, as I have discussed, they have given very new things. They said there are three basic ways to provide instruction via the web. And these are present course material in web pages. Second, course material is downloadable in downloadable files like those available at, as you all know, if you have no learning, your study material, you have not received study material in your home, you can just go to eGyan course and can download that learning material. You can download your SLM. So teach through discussion using online conferencing. We, of course, this is also the way which can, by online learning, there are provision for the which can trigger the discussions. So these are the concept of I should like to share. So even through the web, the SLM, the development of the text for print as is, it is web-based learning is also based on the print media. So with most of this you have, I hope we will discuss that why the web is more preferred, I should say. While doing the, at least for preparing the text material for the, or the print media for the web, we have to be very careful, because what are the factors we have to look into? It has to be precise, are very important, succinct and precise. The print, this is important for bit because it is more difficult and important for online content, because reading on computer screen is more slower than and difficult than reading the printed content in the textbook forms. So it is very important to avoid large amount of content while writing on the web. Sometimes we have an explanation, some word come over there, but we don't need to explain right over there, so that the learner may like to understand that word, or it may not like to understand that concept. So we should try to give the hyperlinks which can provide access to the additional information. So while reading the content, for example, some RTE, right for education, right to education, if this word comes, the learner may not like to know about RTE, or if he or she wants to know, she wants to know afterwards. But that whole explanation need not to be there along with that material in SLM. So we can give an hyperlink to RTE Act, and that the learner can go and can learn the concept of RTE. We have the content while writing on the web needs to begin with the focal point of text. You must be seeing, you're visiting various YouTubes, you may be visiting various websites. So while browsing the content, we all like to read the first few lines of the paragraph. If the opening sentences are nice and they are interesting, you like to read them thoroughly. So opening sentence should therefore declare what the content is about, and that the learner attention, that will attract the learner attention and will make the learner to read it. So the first paragraph should therefore be state the key point and even state the conclusion, because that will interest the learner, and that's very important, we should take care of. And then the paragraphs needs to be very short and to the point. There should not compose lengthy paragraphs, because it is very difficult, and it doesn't create an interest in the learner. You can use the home page to show the unit structure, objectives, and the navigation tools leading to the web pages. Web pages must be linked, but you need to structure the content. We should develop and organize content on the web page in such a way that every page in itself is a meaningful. Does not mean though it is linked with the previous page, it should itself in individually also it should be meaningful and complete, and pages should have the separate heading, and within the page the contents need to be structured with heading and subheading, because the learner may like to focus on that very page at that time. So it has to be very individualized page with the proper instructions. Instructions should be direct. It should enhance the clarity. They should be short. They should be simple sentences. No lengthy sentences should be there. And I have already told while writing the print media, because there are no peers around, we should try to use the first and the second person, I, we, and you, because it it makes the learner feel that there is some interaction or we are all together. I always emphasized earlier too, it should, whether it be in the text form or in the website, it should be a positive sentences. We should use the active voices. So even while writing on the web page, we should be very, very specific to take care, though it will use the print media too, but the media has some different aspects to be dealt upon. There is a word of bread. We have heard about the word processing and editing. Word processing, as we all know, is a software or a device which is useful for creating and editing a document that may include text and message in other forms like pictures. It allows you to give inputs, edit it, format it. So it is easy to use the tools and explore all the features, and it helps to make your SLM more attractive, more interesting. So to create a new document and save, there are, while writing an SLM, you need to create a new document, save it using an appropriate file format, create the text. There are many things that the tool you use word processing while using insert headers, footers, text box, hyperlinks, page number. So tables, graphs, charts, symbols, shapes, pictures. So you can copy and cut and paste from one part of the document to the another. So you need such softwares. Sometimes some layouts of the document by setting the margins is there, by putting the headings, some way of writing is italicizing, changing the font size, adjusting the space between the lines and the paragraphs, using bullets and the numbering, changing the case of the words. So you find that these are the word processing and the editing. They are the tools for preparing the SLM. Some free word processing tools we all know are VPS, Office, free, Google Docs, Dropbox, Paper, Soft Paper, Free Office, so on. And some editing tools are also very common. They are Notepad++, Visual Studio Code, Automand, and these are there are many resources, and there are many sources where you can go and learn them and insert it while preparing an SLM. So it is very important. I hope sometimes we use the graphics. We try to induce the graphics and we try to select the shapes and the arrows to link the boxes or within the boxes. So some clip arts, portraits, some word art are to create perceptions. So I hope you understand by writing the courseware for the print media, these are called the various things involved in writing a courseware for the print media. So any difficulty, any question, anyone who wants to ask, I am ready to answer it. By this, we finish up the unit 3 also. Tomorrow we will go with the unit 4. 4, 5, 6, 7. So, any question, Manik?
No, ma'am.
Any query? So I hope I thanks you. I thank to all the learners who are here, and let's hope we'll meet tomorrow.
Sure,
That
sure,
will be
ma'am.
the
Thank you very much.
last lecture. It is was on 31st, 1st, and 2nd.
Yeah.
So tomorrow again between 5 to 7. I hope you will reach safe and sound to your home, and you will be able to connect us
Okay.
at right
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.